I have one moment that stands out in my mind as being one of the creepiest and most frightening moments of my life. Let me start by saying that I'm not religious. I don't attend church, mass, nothing. So, one night my friend and I were out exploring, and there is this old house. It is long since condemned by the town because it's just falling apart. The stairs are rotten, and in one room the ceiling has a hole where you can look up into one of the bedrooms. It's a mess. But we were thinking, well, we're out here, let's explore a bit. We'll just go look around downstairs since the stairs aren't safe. We go in through the boarded up door, which was literally a single plank over the door, and the door pushed in and was unlocked. We go in, no problem, and use our phones as flashlights as we look around. It's typical broken down, rotting house stuff. Nothing special. Well, my friend sits down on some old chair in the corner and is just talking about random stuff. So I sit down on the floor against the wall and we talk for a while. Somehow we get into this big conversation about the world and why it's all messed up. Well, at some point, my friend says something really inappropriate and laughs, then jokingly says, "Oh crap, I'm totally going to hell." Right after he says this, from the other side of the room, a kind of raspy, older voice just says very clearly, "Speak of the devil, and he shall appear." We froze in our tracks, and chills went down my spine. Someone was in the room. So many questions were going through our heads. Finally, my friend snaps out of it and shines the light over at the other side of the room and into the doorway, where we see a man in a suit and fedora, 1940s style, walk out the back door. We jump up, chase after him, but he's gone. Not a single person on the street. It's just one road, no turns or anything for a mile, and he was nowhere to be seen. We may have had a brief encounter with the devil, but who knows? As I said, I'm not religious, but that was the one time I really felt as if pure evil had talked to me. When I was 18, I went off to college in Kansas. My parents drove me and my stuff out, left me, and went back. I didn't have a car on campus the first couple of months. At Thanksgiving, I flew home and ended up driving my car back about 8.5 hours. On the way, in the middle of the night, I stopped and got some food at a Denny's and filled up at an old gas station across the road. The pumps were ancient, and there was this old man working there. Came out to the full service lane and filled up my car. When I handed him a credit card, he said I had to come in. So I did, grabbed a soda too. He ran the card on one of those old machines with the paper slide and handed me the carbon copy to sign. I went on my way. I did notice, after a few days, the $20 in gas never appeared on my credit card, but just assumed it being an old machine. Maybe they didn't process it till the end of the month, or just forgot to put it through. A few weeks later, I decided to drive home for Christmas, and I invited one of my roommates, whose family was out of the country for the holidays, home with me. He mentioned he was hungry, and I tell him there's a Denny's just up the road. We pull off the road about 5 PM this time, and I notice the filling station across the road is boarded up and weeds are growing through the pavement. I asked the waitress when it closed, and she mentioned it had been closed for 4 or 5 years. She said it was too expensive to put the new gas tanks in the ground, so the owner just closed up shop. My roommate looked at me like I was crazy when I told him I literally had stopped and gotten gas at that station a month before. I told my family the story when I got home. They just told me I had gotten off at the wrong exit. But I remember the details pretty well, and I still have the credit card slip from the gas. Still creeps me out quite a bit to this day. When I was a teen, I was having a sleepover with my friends, and we broke out my grandmother's old Ouija board, which was absolutely ancient. It was me and my best friend, named Amber, plus a mutual friend that we really only invited along because we had to, and she was really easily spooked. So we were fooling around like the board was possessed and stuff. In the midst of having fun spooking this poor girl, my friend pauses and pulls out her baggie of candy that we just bought at the corner store, which includes a sealed package of those candy message hearts you get around Valentine's Day. At that moment, it becomes clear the other friend is seriously unsettled, and we felt kinda bad. So I said something along the lines of, if a spirit was really here, it would make its presence known to us. And literally, each one of them says, "Ready, Amber?" on it. We were seriously freaked out and never touched the Ouija again. Never found another heart with that message ever again either. And we tried. We bought those packages multiple times, trying to prove that it was just a coincidence. I still have the Ready Amber hearts saved to this day, but the almost 20 years have rubbed the Ray's message off the heart, so it's not as clear anymore. It still freaks me out to this day. One night, around 3 AM, I woke up to get a drink and go to the bathroom. Everything is normal until I get back into bed. I had just closed my eyes and laid down when I heard something scratching at my door, which was weird because I don't have any pets. I started freaking out. I pinched myself to check if I was dreaming or not. I never feel pain in dreams. I know a few people who do though. But I pinched myself and it hurt. So now I'm really freaking out. I turned to face the window, which was opposite of the door, and closed my eyes. Just then, my door swung open, and I felt something breathing on my face. At the same instant, the door opened. Now I'm shaking. and still have my eyes closed. I was too scared to open them. I decided to turn and face the other way. As I turned, the breathing continued on my face. It continued for about 5 minutes. Those were the longest 5 minutes of my life. Then it suddenly stopped. I waited to open my eyes because I was still freaking out. I waited for what felt like an hour. Then I decided to open my eyes. I didn't see anything by the door, so I turned to the window. I saw a figure. I couldn't make out what it was, but as soon as I looked at it, it screamed at me. I closed my eyes and curled up into a ball. I felt a scratch on my arm, but I was too scared to look. I ended up turning the other way again. I don't remember anything after that. It may have been because I passed out due to the extreme fear. But when I woke up, I quickly looked at my arm and there were scratch marks with dried blood. It took me a long while to be comfortable to sleep without the lights off again. I talked to a few people I knew who had an experience, not exactly similar, but similar in a way. They said it could be sleep paralysis, but I told them I was in complete control of my body. To this day, I have no idea what it was, but it still scares me every time I think about it. This happened 2 years ago, and to this day, I will not get up around 3 a.m. for any reason. If I wake up and see it near that time, I start hyperventilating and clench up. I know it doesn't sound real, but it happened, and I don't think I'll ever forget it.